How many World War II veterans are there here? Only one? Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Three. That makes four of us. Five. Let me ask one more question. How many husbands were in? How many wives are here? Well, my wife, I had her for 70 years, liking one day. She said I had a husband and 3 sons in the service, and they all came home. And she was most thankful for that. I want to thank you for your prayers in making my trip possible. And for those who are not aware, the honor flight is a gratis flight for World War II veterans. They told us not to bring any money unless we wanted to buy some trinkets for memorials, but on Friday night, October 3rd, we went up to the Shiloh Inn east of Portland Airport. My son and I was wishing my son might be here. He's a Vietnam veteran. And by the way, I don't want to neglect the Vietnam veterans. Thank you, too. But my son has some serious physical problems. Couldn't be here, but he was my wheelchair pusher all the way through. We went to the Shiloh Inn east of Portland Airport, had a full 3-course meal and a full night's sleep in the motel, gratis. We got up the next morning, Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, got up before 8, got on the bus at 8 o'clock. It took us to the plane, Northwest Airlines, and flew us to Midway Airport in Chicago. We arrived there as we deplaned to take another plane. Here was 2 rows of white. They were young sailors that had just finished their boot training, and they stood at attention all the time we were going up the ramp into the airport. And afterwards they came and shook our hands. They were on their way to Florida for their next series of training. As we went from there to Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C., and as we came into our point of getting off the plane, 2 fire trucks, one on either side, shooting water over our plane. That was a real welcome. We went to the motel, had another big meal. Next morning, we had a late breakfast again. Was on the bus at 8 o'clock for our tour. Stop number 1, I don't know what... World War II Memorial. And this was so impressive. The line of stars, I had always been told, had a name on them, but they did not. But those stars represented the 400,000 soldiers, sailors, Marines that didn't come back. Behind this wall, down on the left-hand side, there was an inscription. I don't think that's on the sky. But that inscription was, Kilroy was here. I'm told that when the inspectors came through to okay the memorial, somebody stood in front of that inscription. And I saw it. That was tremendous. To stop to think that those men and women gave their life so that you and I might have the freedom that we anticipate here in America. Some things have changed since then. Our bus made a stop, and we got off. I did not go, but my son did. And they walked back to the Vietnam Memorial. They saw the other memorials, and then came back. I was told that the bus couldn't stay in one place very long. You know how much a parking ticket was? $45 if they were parking in the wrong place. So they kept moving, even though we got off and saw what was in the area or went to something else. Before I forget it, something that was very impressive. One of the times when we were on the plane ready to go, a man came on board carrying a junior age boy. That junior age boy stood with a salute, or not stood, but held in his hand. That was impressive. That night after one other thing, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We were taken in, and it was just a silence. The Army man came from our right up to the tomb, and we were parked right beside it. He turned and saluted. Went down to the far end, did an about face, came back down through. This he did a few times, and then a troop of soldiers came to the left end, and when he came up, they had the changing of the guard. And they examined that rifle, exchanged hands. A new man took over, and he went back doing the same things that that soldier had. A lot of the people in the stands across from us left after the change of the guard. After they'd gone, the soldier came from the right down to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Instead of turning to the left, he turned to the right. He said, "You kids will stay behind the line." 2 kids had come down out of the stands and were getting out onto the court. You can be sure that those kids will remember that for quite a while. After we finished viewing the various places, the the bus took us to a home buffet style place and turned us loose. Now remember, all this is gratis. Somebody had put in money, made it available, part of which was the DAR, of which one is a neighbor of mine. Something I want to point out from these pillars that you see in the background, each of those has the name of a state on it. Oregon is way over to the left. Had to go in front of that to get down to see Kilroy. In recognizing the significance of all of this, a nation conceived in liberty and justice. People, we've got to be more earnest in our prayers, or this nation won't remain that. We lost a lot of ground the last few years. It's going to take more than the president to get us back. We've got to be behind him. We've got to do our part to make sure that we remain a nation not only conceived in liberty and justice, but continuing in that. And again, I want to thank each of you for your part in praying that my trip would be a success, and it was. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor.
There's a few more slides here.
This was so impressive to see that, look over that fountain to those standards with the names of each of the states on it. Is that the last one? Yes. Very impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ed.